Hello, hello. Pinch and a punch. First of the month, no return. It's the 1st of March, 2020. So Sunday. Uh, the day's racing to a close. I'm sitting here watching the mother of all talk shows. If you haven't seen it, it's on Facebook and it's on YouTube. It's on every Sunday at 7 o'clock. With my mate George Galloway. If you don't agree, you'll be interested, believe me. If you do agree with him, you'll be interested. George can be accused of many things, but putting on a boring show is not one of them. Anyway, so yeah, already March. I can't believe it. This year's just racing past for me. I don't know about you. Maybe a screen glare off my glasses. Racing past, yeah. Yeah, there we are, the vlog. The very intermittent vlog. I'm just so busy I don't get time to do them really. I'm trying not to ramble. This sort of 30-minute bloody, death by vlog, death by PowerPoint type of things. But yeah, I can't remember when I did the last one. I can't remember what I talked about particularly. But things have changed for me personally. I'm no longer anything. I no longer have anything to do with the Labour left anymore, or the sort of Corbyn left, or any of that movement anymore. To be honest, I've removed myself because of certain things that have gone on between ex-comrades within that movement, who anyway, and myself. So I've removed myself for the things that have gone on. I'm not going to get into here. But and also, I was going to step back slightly anyway because, you might remember from my last vlogs from last year that I had health problems then, which I'm, touch wood, over now, and I'm doing well now. So I want to continue to sort of work on that, so it gives me more time to do that. And also, I'm doing my doctoral research at the minute. So I'm planning all of that and sorting out the sort of research plan and all the stuff I need to do for that. So it's given me more time to do all that, so that's great. So yeah, I thought I'd use this vlog this time as a bit of a debrief, I suppose, from my own personal perspective of being in the sort of Corbyn camp up here in North Wales for, since it began really, 5 years. And now it's all come to an end. Racing towards an end, or crawling towards an end if you've been watching the Labour leadership sojourn, which has still got ages to go yet. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. Hardly lighting up the bleeding airwaves, are they? The candidates. Yeah, that's a ball fest. Bloody hell. Anyway, so yeah, no longer part of that. And I've got my own views about what went wrong, why it all went wrong, why we lost last year, why it's gone wrong, why the whole thing sort of collapsed, because it has really, as far as I can tell here. It seems to have sort of petered out, basically. Pretty obvious that Starmer's very, very likely to be the next leader. So we're going to basically have, it's, the current state of play is we've got a defeated Labour Party from last year in the general election, who are now about to lurch again towards what they would call a centre, but actually is centre right, and right on a lot of policies, with someone that the older Labour Guard, who always wanted the sort of Corbyn lot out, basically, and have always been fighting with sort of dirty tricks I won't even get into here, are going to get in what they want. They're getting Starmer, they're getting their sort of Blair clone, although of course he's not, is it? As much as you want to criticise Tony Blair, at least Tony Blair could get his messages across, communicate, convince people that what he wanted to do was a good idea, and get the vote. Starmer's not. Starmer has no charisma, he has no communication skills as far as being a salesman whatsoever, so for me, the next 5 years, unless there's some sort of massive disaster for the Tories, unforeseen disaster, 5-10 years, Labour's just a non-entity. Unfortunately, I need them to be, which is why I'm in this. I'm not in this for the fun of it. I'm not in this. I'm not. I never started this so I'd have something to do in the evenings, you know, and the weekends. I needed Labour. I needed socialist left-wing Labour. Obviously, you know. That's not happened. It's not going to happen, from what I can see, and the way things are going now. So yeah, I've gone. I think. So what went wrong? What went wrong? Why did it all go tits up? Well, it all seemed to be going, you know, the Corbyn threat, and you know the millionaires shaking in their boots, and the billionaire class and their media doing all they to destroy the whole thing for the past 4 years and 2 elections. Where did it all go wrong? Why did it go so right in 2017 and so wrong 2 years later? Obviously, there are the obvious reasons, and there are various reasons, not just one thing. But obviously, Labour telling its traditional base vote that it wasn't going to honour the vote for the majority of them, which was to leave the EU. Obviously, that was a big factor, which meant that 2.6 million of our, or 2.5 million of our core voters just didn't turn out for us. They didn't lend the Tories their votes, they just didn't turn out for us. Force of habit, not us, because I'm not part of it, but Labour. So obviously that was a big one. But it goes further back than that. I'm just here where I am, decades of Labour being in control and just taking people, especially working class people and working class areas, for granted. Every election, local elections, we have assembly elections here, we have obviously general elections, just years and years of being felt as being taken for granted, and you'd only see your Labour politicians and the others, but particularly Labour politicians who were in charge of the area, you know, who we both voted for, literally election time. You're going to vote for me election time? Yeah, never see or hear them again. So that was a big problem here and all over working class parts of England and Wales. Obviously Scotland as well. I mean, Labour's virtually no pulse in Scotland. I fear Wales is going the same way now, to be honest, because there seems to be no... Up here in the north of Wales, we lost all of the Labour seats in December, apart from Allen and Deeside. And Welsh Labour, that are basically the government here in the Senate, seem to have no interest whatsoever, none, between December and now, of trying to work out or come up here and work out why, what happened, what they should be doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. I've heard nothing, and believe me, I was close. I was as close as you could get to the core Labour left, Corbyn, Welsh Labour grassroots, all that sort of stuff, and other things, where I was getting information and I was hearing nothing. And it's not just me, I know other people who are still in it who are absolutely dismayed that Welsh Labour seem to have, like Scottish Labour, seem to have no interest and completely taken what they had for granted up here, and it's gone. I know some seem to think for some reason that it was just a blip, and that for some reason the people that didn't support us will forget all about it now that Brexit's done. And next time there's local elections, and like next year there's going to be assembly elections and local elections after that, year after, and then whenever there's going to be a general election, our votes will come back to us. You know, as if they've got memories of goldfish, and must go, oh, okay, well, you know, you told us you weren't going to honour our votes from 2016 on the referendum, the EU referendum. So, but don't worry, we'll come back to you. I mean, why would they? That baffles me anyway. Why I think that? But anyway, for me, being involved in all of it for the whole 5 years. Up here, I can't speak for the rest of the UK, but it seemed to be similar things on it. Was that although the majority of the people that sort of joined it and turned up and that I met over the years and things, and were in it with me, were obviously wanted to change things, obviously wanted a more caring, peace-loving, socialist government, and policies, and, you know, less privatisation, utilities brought back into public ownership, the NHS properly funded, properly run for all of us, not as some sort of business, which it isn't. NHS isn't supposed to be a business. Obviously, something Tories will never understand, because their whole point of conservatism is the supposed free market economy, turning a profit. Everyone's got a right to make a profit and turn a profit. The fact that that means you have to exploit other people doesn't seem to register with them. But anyway, getting on to other things here, which I'll cover in other vlogs. Although they had those, my ex-comrades had those wonderful views, and that's what they wanted, like me. The problem was, for too many of them, which it never was for me, it was also, and probably more so as it went along, for them, a sort of celebrity fan club regarding Jeremy Corbyn. It was. I can't tell you how many times I've seen new people joining, talking to the people that join, turning up at an event or something, where Corbyn's going to speak or whatever. Like we have the Welsh Labour Conference here every April. Corbyn usually turns up. Obviously, he's not going to. Well, he's still leading all day, and they all turn up with their T-shirts, their sort of Corbyn T-shirts, and their phones, and they want to get to the front of the queues and the front of the conference hall, and they want. As soon as Jeremy, want to put on social media that they've seen Jeremy speak, and they're right there, and then they're first in line for the selfies, and they stick up on their phone yet another selfie with Jeremy. Oh, you look wonderful! What a great picture of you and Jeremy, and with their Corbyn T-shirts on. It was a fan club, and the problem with the fan club and the fan club mentality is that they're all congratulating each other for doing it, and all this, you're a real socialist, you are, because you're there with Corbyn in your T-shirt. That was about the depth of it for a lot of people, which drove me round the bend. I never really understood. I still don't understand. Well, I still don't understand, because I never felt the need to buy a Corbyn T-shirt, wear a Corbyn T-shirt, take selfies with Corbyn, even though I've been to numerous events with Corbyn. I've met Corbyn right at the beginning, when he was running for the leadership the first time, here in Llandudno, along the coast. That was never what it was about for me, but it seemed to be that was sort of what it was about for far too many people. I mean, I'll give you if you want to go, that's anecdotal sort of evidence. I'll give you numbers though. At our branch here, our Labour branch in my town, I know in 2016, about that, after Corbyn had sort of been elected, I remember the secretary saying to us that, the membership secretary said that our branch had grown from 200 members to 600. Fantastic. I can tell you now, I never saw anything like 600 people. Was never contacted by 600 people, and if anyone was going to be, it was me, because I was running all the social media, or most of the social media for the sort of stuff up here in this town, for the Real People's Assembly, my own councillor, Facebook, Twitter, my own personal page. I was connected with all of it, all the groups and things around here on the left. I never saw 600 people. I never saw 200 people, It was something people seemed to join, like they join a book club, or, and it was all painfully middle class on the whole, which perhaps, I hate to bring class into this, but for me, obviously, class is the underlying point for everything, all of it really, even though you'll be told by the mainstream media, of course, that it isn't, is that the problem was my middle class comrades were perhaps treating it in this way because they didn't have a dog in the race on the whole. Some people did, obviously. Some people had family members who needed the services to be run better and properly. Of course, we all, middle class or not, have to use the NHS and all this sort of stuff. But when it came to things like welfare and benefits, which were the literal safety net for people to feed themselves or their families or not, or be housed or not, the vast majority of them had either never had to engage in that, never had to rely on it, never had to go through the system. The only sort of people they knew who were going through it and had been through it were me. Well, it was me, really. And I'd talk about it as much as I possibly could to sort of make them aware of the realities of what was going on. It didn't. I mean, it was just odd. I remember there was when I Daniel Blake came out, they were all going, "Oh, let's put on I Daniel Blake at one of the local venues here. That'll be fantastic." And right along the Labour MP here and the Labour AM and all this sort of stuff and councillors and things, which they did. And they were saying to me, "Are you going to come along?" And I said, "No, I don't really want to, because at that time I was on job seekers allowance. I've been on for about 2 years or more. I've been through benefit sanctions myself quite a number of times, or attempts to sanction me. I'd been through the piss take that was the work programme, which was basically a continuation of New Labour's sort of basically farming you out, so that you're not the job centre's problem anymore. You're not the problem of the government. You're farmed out to a private A4E, a private provider like A4E or Capita, that sort of thing, where they're paid for you to be there, but do absolutely bugger all to help you at all, which has always been the problem. So I've been through all that. I was going through it on a daily basis. On a daily basis, you're trying to do stuff to make sure you don't have the 74 quid a week they were giving me to live on completely removed because I hadn't done something they wanted me to do. I mean, you can have it removed just for not following instructions, whatever the hell that means. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not. You don't have to do anything heinous at all to have it removed. Believe me. And for those people, it was at a whim. The sort of the private providers for the work programme, they just click. If they didn't like something, you didn't like something you've done, or you didn't do what they say, they just click something, and you get the letter. You get a letter saying, you're going to be sanctioned, basically. So anyway, they kept saying to me, "You're going to come." I said, "Well, no, because I'm going through it. I don't want to go through it every day and then go to an event watch a film, watch a film where I'm told, I'm sure it's very well made by Ken Loach, and that I'm sort of told what it's like and the misery and the fear, and I know that I'm going through it. So of course they all flock to it. They'd rather watch a film and hear about all that stuff and all that. Isn't it awful and all that? Yet when they got someone like me who's literally there all the time with them, in it with them, they didn't seem to want to hear it from me, which was all very strange. Again, sort of, I don't know if that's a middle class sort of ingrained capitalist sort of mentality that sort of we've all got sort of shoved into our brains from the year dot. Well, I have no idea, but I don't know why I've got it and they haven't. I've not. Well, they've got it and I haven't. But anyway, so that it was all just playing at it for too many people, I'm afraid. At the end of the day, so when support was needed, really needed, so for people to be out on the streets en masse and actually do stuff rather than just go to socials and things, or the odd meeting, didn't happen. For 4 years, the street presence here for 4 years has been me and my 85-year-old mate, with a few colleagues now and again, a few people now and again when they can. I can think of 3 that would do it sort of, I suppose, semi-regularly when they could, that were committed enough. The rest, every time I'd sort of say, "You're going to come now." And then, I'm not going to get into it, but one of the reasons I've sort of withdrawn from it all is because recently I was told by some of these people that, frankly, they found what I was doing publicly on the street, trying to promote their Corbyn and our Corbyn and all this sort of stuff, was an embarrassment to them, embarrassing. So they didn't want to be seen with us. I'll tell you why they want to. I'll tell you why a lot of them didn't want to be seen with us, because for all their love and sort of fan culture for Corbyn and what socialists they were, they also didn't want to upset, didn't want to be included in the group, or the group of people, small group of people, upsetting the Labour establishment. The very same Labour establishment that, of course, have done everything they can, here and nationally, to push us all out, get rid of us, no matter what lengths they have to go to, no matter what sort of crap they had to make up, or false charges, any of that, propaganda, anything, lies, all of it, they're perfectly prepared to do all of it, and did. They didn't want to upset those people. They're always, in their minds, there was always some agreement they were going to come to. You know, they're always going to see the light and be reasonable. You know, and I kept saying to them, "There's a war. This is a war. This is a war going on. This is an internal war in Labour, and it's a class war outside in the country here. I'm right here in front of you. Here, right here where we are. Here we meet in the West End of Rhyl. The West End of Rhyl has been top 10 most deprived area of Wales for years. It is now the number one, the most deprived area of Wales. This is where they have the Labour Party meetings here quite regularly, and they wanted to appease the Labour right because they were like them. They were middle class, and it doesn't matter what you know. Never it never fails to amaze me how people who go on about what socialists they are, how much they love Corbyn or the left and all this sort of stuff they want to happen, how much, no matter how right wing their views are, no matter what they'll do to get rid of them, actually attack them, the prefix of MP has on their minds. It's respectable. At the end of the day, no matter what they do, they're an MP. They're a councillor. You know? Like Kier Starmer, he's directly responsible for our failure and the trouncing of Labour and 2.5 million of us was leaving us. Kier Starmer was directly responsible for that, but nevertheless, large swathes of them are here to support him. Because why? Why? Because after all, he's a lawyer. He's an ex-lawyer. Respectable middle-class profession. Lawyer, doctor, MP, councillor. The mindset's there. No matter what they say or think, the mindset is deeply set and ingrained in there for far too many of them. And for me, that is a huge part of why it never worked, was never going to work, and was lost. The only people really fighting to keep it going, fighting to do it at the beginning were Corbyn, McDonnell and his team, up until 2017. After 2017, again, they tried to appease the right wing, the PLP, the Starmers, you know, the people who were happily shoving the knives in their backs and our backs. I don't know why. Again, I think Jeremy Corbyn seemed to be mesmerised by Kier Starmer's past credentials as some sort of great mind. I've got a law degree. I've been to law school. Believe me, because you're a lawyer, because you've got a law degree, because you've been a barrister or solicitor, or whatever, has no correlation with intelligence whatsoever. Because what people in law, what the tutors in law school, what the legal profession like, is people who can repeat black letter law, memorise specifics, swathes of legislation, parrot fashion. That's what they want. There's very, very little, and from my experience in the law school, it was actually discouraged, to be honest, because every time I tried to do it, I was actually marked down and would have comments like, "I can't understand why you would think that." If you tried to argue either way or both ways, or an opposite view from the sort of perceived wisdom, basically. Never understood, never appreciated, never commended. Maybe that's just my law scholar, but even with lawyers I've met, after, so it made me laugh that's sort of equate Kier Starmer with, he was the director of public prosecutions and he was a barrister. Oh, so he must be a great mind. I mean, look at that. Pull out of your mind for a minute what he was. Look at him speak and look at what he talks about and what he thinks. Is that a great mind? Really? And then, of course, you've got the continuity candidate now, Rebecca Long-Bailey and everything. Again, that's Corbyn light, That's Corbyn. Even if Corbyn got it, if we got what we wanted and Corbyn was in power now, Labour government, Corbyn-led Labour government, the policies I want to be watered down so much by the PLP and the right wing, and the civil service and the apparatus that's still there, even though you got a change of government on the face of it. It would have effectively ended up as tinkering on the edges. Now, don't get me wrong, the welfare benefits stuff, which is what I'm in this for, if the policies for that had been implemented, literally lives would have been saved. Hundreds of thousands of lives that will now be lost, as they have been over the last 10 years, of the most vulnerable and disabled, would have been saved. That's not going to happen now. And yeah, Corbyn also has a responsibility for that. Corbyn at the end of the day was in charge, was leading the party, and again, because he's middle class, lives in lovely leafy parts of London, despite what he believes and what he thinks, he gave far too much to ground and too much was far too ready and happy to give the benefit of the doubt to people like Starmer, the right wing, and always attack. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders now in America. He's been attacked as a sort of Russian by the others, the right wing in his party and the Democrats. Similar sort of thing. The right wing there who want to sort of destroy his lead and destroy his reputation within the party with his voters and nationally as a Kremlin candidate, basically backed by Putin and all this sort of shite. Same sort of shite Corbyn got with all the IRA sympathisers and Middle East terrorist sympathisers, all this sort of stuff, for the same reason, to devalue him, basically. But like Corbyn, he's every time he's come out, does Sanders, say this is clearly nonsense and come out with why this is clearly nonsense. There's no evidence behind it whatsoever, bleeding ever. It's just the right wing, inside and outside the party, trying to stop him at all costs. No. Sanders does just what Corbyn did with the anti-Semitism accusations and the scale of apparently anti-Semitism within Labour, that he was an anti-Semite and he harboured anti-Semites and all this bollocks. And sort of, rather than pointing out the problems with the argument and how they were actually untrue, on the whole, sort of folds. So Corbyn folded, which meant, the accusation could go on and on and on, totally unchallenged. Even like people like Chris Williamson and other people who didn't fold, who tried to point out actually that this was a gross distortion of reality, and just sat by where had trumped up charges levelled against them and kicked out of the party, like so many have been. Corbyn, there was no sort of attempt to sort of help people who were trying to back him up within the party even. Same thing's happening now with Sanders, with this Russian candidate nonsense. And this seems to be, again, a middle class thing. I mean, can you imagine, Dennis Skinner? If Dennis Skinner was the leader of the Labour Party, or George Galloway or someone working class, famously working class, were leaders of the parties, and all this stuff was levelled at them by the right wing, the overwhelmingly right wing, billionaire controlled media in this country and in the US. Of course they bloody wouldn't. They would fight back. There's an old adage which is absolutely true. If you don't run, they can't chase you. And what Corbyn did, and what Sanders is doing now, is running. And I never understood why he did it. So I criticised Corbyn for that. I did at the time. Wasn't popular amongst the Corbyn fandom. I criticise him for it now. At the end of the day, the buck stops there with Jeremy. He shouldn't have run, and he ran constantly. Sanders shouldn't be running, and he is running constantly. Watch this space. I really think, despite getting the popular vote within the party and support, they're going to pull something again like they did in 2016 within the Democratic Party, and somehow, with some sort of strange fixed crap, deny Sanders the candidature for president. Why wouldn't they? They did it before. They've got like the Labour right here, the PLP, and within the CLPs around the country. The Labour right have no interest in Labour winning. They wanted Corbyn's Labour to lose, so that they can then say, well, you lost because of yourselves, not because of us, and supporting, fully supporting right-wing sort of billionaire propaganda, and what was it, bloody, the opposite of momentum, or progress and all that right-wing shit, which loads of them did. So many MPs, so many AMs, councillors and leaders of council within Labour. They're still all there. And they're queuing now because they think they've got their. We want our party back. Well, they've got their party back. And let's see how well they do in the next election, shall we? If you think Labour tanked last time, watch this space. Wait for the next one. Watch the Assembly elections in Wales for Labour. Watch the local elections the year after, next year and the year after for Labour. Have a watch. See how many lose. You know what I mean? Watch this space. Anyway, that's it. That's gone half an hour. So I'll say bye for now. I hope you had a lovely Sunday. Hope the weather gets better. Hope the wind dies down here. If you've been flooded out, I'm so sorry. It's been awful. I saw on the front pages yesterday that Johnson and the Tories were saying that coronavirus was their first priority, top priority. And we're going to force through emergency legislation, and that tells you what you need to know about coronavirus and the scaremongering for weeks and weeks in the press here. All of a sudden they're going to force through this week legislation for our good. It always works out, doesn't it? That always works out for our good. Remember with the terrorism sort of stuff after 9/11, and bird flu, SARS, all this sort of stuff. Always works, doesn't it? Forcing through legislation that the government wants. All induced by massive public fear. So if you want to know what the coronavirus scaremongering has been about in the press, considering yesterday it was 20 people in the country who got it, now apparently it's 32 out of a country of 65 million people. If you wonder why, I think we know why now. But if you've been flooded out and you read that Johnson and the Tories' number one concern is coronavirus, and not the fact that he's not visited you, not visited your area, not doing anything about it, basically, or very little about it, won't reference it in the media. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. I can never understand what you've gone through, but I feel your pain and anger. So anyway, ciao for now. Stay safe. Keep well. Keep using that antiseptic hand wipes, and I've got mine here, just in case, just in case I bump into someone who might have the dreaded coronavirus, the antiseptic rub. It's mostly so I don't catch things like stomach flu people, which is going around at the minute because it's winter, end of winter, so you're going to get all sorts of shit, aren't you? Probably not coronavirus, but flu and stomach flu and stuff. But yeah, make sure you got yours handy. See you next time. Stay safe, stay well, and try and enjoy yourselves. Ciao for now.